hey, girls. I brought you a hump day treat. Like, that girl, the lady with the fake boobs and like the pink jumpsuit, pink velour jumpsuit. She's trying to be the cool mom. That's totally me.
Thank you for tuning in into another episode of the Empowered Podcast. Today's guest is someone I've already interviewed, but the technical gremlins, as she said, destroyed the second half of the interview, and she was gracious enough to spend another hour talking to me over Skype. So welcome back to the show, or for the first time, I guess I should say, Laci, and let me see if I remember how to say it, Urcioli?
Oh, you did well. If you were an Italian or if we were like in the 1800s, that's probably how you would say it.
It's I missed that.
Yeah,
part.
no, you got it. I mean, you could say Urcioli or Urcioli. It's my married name, so I'm still learning how to say it even after 17 years. So
I think I was like a teenager before I learned how to spell my middle name.
Yeah.
So.
What's your middle name?
Crayton.
Crayton?
That would be easy for a fifth grader.
Kreighton?
No, it's Creighton.
All right, I almost got it on the second try. Almost.
Yeah, I think I was like 17 before I figured out how to spell
that. Is that a family name?
Nope. I am the one and only.
All right. Well, we'll have to get into that later because that seems like an interesting story to me.
I get that every once in a while, and I wish it were. But we can definitely talk about it. But today is Halloween,
Woo-hoo!
And you were just yeah. What are you going to be dressing up as tonight?
I am actually dressing up as the mom from Mean Girls, the one that's like, hey, girls. I brought you a hump day treat. Like, that girl, the lady with the fake boobs and like the pink jumpsuit, pink velour jumpsuit. She's trying to be the cool mom. That's totally me.
I'll ask it anyway, and you can just give me whatever comes to your mind. I was going to ask you if you were, they were what were we watching just this week? It's like in Halloween you can put sexy in front of everything, and all of a sudden it's a costume. It was Modern Family.
Yeah.
I was going to say, are you going to be a sexy podcaster?
No, I'm already a sexy podcaster. Thank you very much. I already own that daily. Halloween every day in my house. No. Halloween's actually one of my absolute favorite holidays. It has been my whole life. My kids, my family, my husband and I, we all get really, really super pumped and super into it. And the best part about being a Halloween lover in Nevada and in Las Vegas specifically is that it's Nevada Day. So we actually get the day off of school. So I grew up literally not having to go to school on Halloween. And if it was over a weekend, we would get the Friday before or the Monday off after.
Wow.
So it was so cool because like most families, in the Southwest, like, everybody, like you want to do a family vacation. Who doesn't want to spend Halloween at like Disneyland, or who doesn't want to stay up all night on Halloween and then not have to worry about going to school or whatever? So we would sleep all day and then be out all night trick or treating. And it's just normal out here because, everybody's used to kids not having to go to school. So it's really cool. And my kids and I are, gearing up. It's early today. So they're already like looking at their pumpkins, trying to figure out what we're going to do. Mom, I got to go get that wig that we promised I was going to get, so, and the coolest thing for me this year is, I don't know if it's cool or weird, but now that I'm in this online world a little bit more, my son is 9, Phoenix, and every year he's been something super cute. Like he's been an Iron Man, or he's been he was a Rocky Balboa when he was like 2. It was the cutest dang costume ever. We had a little muscle suit for him. It was so cute. This year he wants to be a YouTuber. And I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, yeah, this guy that I follow on YouTube does these really cool makeup tutorials.
Wait, he follows people on
Oh my
YouTube?
God, you have no idea. Dude, I can't get him off the computer. He's 9 and he lives on the computer to watch Minecraft videos or stupid people on YouTube. And listen, I'm all about it, but I have to parent it, right? So I'm like, how many cuss words did he say? What's the topic of the conversation? All this stuff. So after I've vetted all these people, and I'm sure he's going around looking at ones that I haven't vetted, whatever. He says he wants to be this YouTube dude for Halloween. And I'm like, how do you explain that when you go up to someone's door and go, hi, I'm blah, blah, blah from YouTube? Like, what does that even look like? So this is a new venture.
I don't know. I don't watch a whole lot of YouTube, but I picture Amy Schmidtauer, and
this guy does
that's about it.
He does like makeup tutorials on YouTube. So I think he's going to be a character that he did a makeup tutorial on. But I'm like, bro, how are we going to explain this when Grandma Betty down the street wants to know who the hell you are? Like, what are you going to say? So maybe the makeup will throw them off and they'll just think he's a ghoul or a goblin or something. But I just thought it was so funny. Like, this has really come full circle. Like, me and just being more entrenched in the YouTube and the entrepreneurial world and just online in general. Now my kid wants to be someone on YouTube for Halloween. It's like, what has happened here? What happened to like
Wow.
princesses and ghouls and goblins, you know? So.
Yeah, because we always ask if we can't immediately tell. You know, you got the Supermans and the Batmans, and if Ashley and I can't tell what somebody is, we ask. And I I would have to think about what a YouTuber.
Yeah, exactly. He'll go, "Oh, I'm such and such, blah blah. Five Nights at Freddy on YouTube," and I'm like, I don't. Okay, bud. All right, maybe we should make a sign and just hang it around your neck, so you don't have to say it 700 times tonight. So, but no, so super stoked, and I'm glad we're doing this on Halloween because it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, one of our friend's daughters, she wants to be like a zombie vampire, like both at
Yeah, yeah.
the same
And that's
time.
like a
So
thing now. I'm sure there's movies about it. You know what I mean? Like the zombie, the
probably.
vampire thing took over, right? And then the zombie thing came in full force at the same time. You knew there was going to be some collision. There's going to be a zombie that falls in love with a vampire movie coming out at some point in time and a book written about it. And it's going to be all tweens screaming. It's going to be the next Harry Potter. And we're going to be like, really?
Exactly. I mean, that explains the whole history of The Walking
Yeah,
Dead. Now that we have Ebola, and
exactly.
that's the direction that we're going.
Exactly. Anyway, so.
Yeah. So like I mentioned at the very beginning of the episode, I had a fantastic chat with you. I think back in August, and I released episodes on Wednesday, and it was like a Sunday night. Just 4 or 5 days ago,
Mhm.
and I listened. I pulled it up. I listened to it. I was like, "Yeah, this sounds good. This sounds great." And I hand the laptop over to Ashley. We were sitting out on the back porch, and she was going to edit while I smoked a cigar and watched the Blacklist on some device. And she's like, "This only pulled in 30 minutes into Audacity." I was like, "What?
Mm.
No. How'd you mess it up, wife?" Well, she didn't.
Yeah, the wife
And
the wife fixed it because you would have gone on smoking that cigar and she would have been like, I guess this is the show. But no, she caught it for you. That's awesome. What a
yeah,
great
yeah,
team.
yeah, definitely a wonderful team. And I don't know, just like I said, technical gremlins. I used your word there,
That's
the
okay.
grim. Thank you for that. But yeah, I don't know. It had recorded the whole video, just the audio stopped at 35 minutes and just silence.
Well, I think
And
it was a blessing in disguise, if you ask me.
I think so too. I agree, but there were some things that if we can crunch an hour conversation
Sure.
into about 4 minutes, that I think are very valuable to people like me and anyone else who is thinking about starting a podcast. I know a friend of mine, Steve Tesler's about to start one. A friend, Jason Beaton's about to start one. And one of the things or a few of the things that we talked about in August will help them. And at that time, you were not quite an outsider to the podcasting community, but you weren't jumping in, you hadn't jumped in with both feet. Well, you had, but it hadn't been that
It
long
hadn't
since
really
you had.
hit me either. I mean, I still say I'm new to this every episode, and Chris is like, my partner Chris Cerrone from the Cerrone Show is like, really, like we're 50 episodes in and you're still saying I'm new to this. And it's honestly, Ellery, what I'm doing on purpose is I'm really trying not to jump both feet into the podcasting world. I'm trying to jump both feet into the online and the entrepreneurial world. I don't want to be pigeonholed as a podcaster. I don't think anybody should ever. I think podcasting is just another platform for whatever message and whatever business or whatever, whoever I want to be. So for me, at the time that we first spoke, I was definitely still just getting my head around, whoa, what a cool community of people and what a new, and it's not really new, it's been around for years, but it's just now getting some traction. What a really cool new platform. And wow, it's so great to see all these amazing humans that just accept you with open arms for the most part and all of that. But it still really like hadn't hit me that like this was kind of what I was going to be doing, even though I had done probably 20 episodes with Chris. I don't know. It just hadn't hit me. We hadn't gone full fledged into what we were up to. I'm so glad that we've had to re-record this episode because now, 3 months later, oh my goodness, our worlds are completely flipped, turned upside down in the best way
Yeah.
possible. And I'm excited to talk about that. But I would love to be able to kind of revisit some of the stuff we did talk about on the show because I do agree with you. Like I was in such this newbie phase. I'm a little more jaded is not the word. I'm a little more seasoned. I don't want to be jaded. I'm a little more seasoned now, but I don't want to say that I'm full-fledged in the podcasting world yet, because I'm not. I just record a show with Chris. I listen to a few shows, but not regularly, because who the heck has time for that? Not me. If once you hear what I got going on, you'll understand. But yeah, so shoot, let's get into it.
Yeah, jaded. If we were using jaded as a term, we'd have to just go back to corporate.
I know we can't do that. So seasoned,
nope.
Seasoned is my new terminology, and I don't even think it means the same as jaded. Because honestly, if you ever approach this universe in a jaded way, you should get right back out. That's how I feel about it.
That's a great way of putting it. But so what I wanted to touch on is then, you said 20 episodes, which is actually quite a bit, but we had talked about how podcasters as a community can embrace the rising tide raises all boats kind of mentality, that if you and Chris are better, that makes me look better, and vice versa. Right. And if people are putting out crap content with crap audio quality and things like that, it makes everybody look bad. Right. And we were talking about how, again, this was mostly from the pseudo outsiders point of view, but if you can remember when you were that outsider, how can we boost our quality of content, our sound quality, so that we can become as mainstream as we want to be, but deliver the highest value to our listeners as possible?
Absolutely. I think for me, when I was originally asked to join Chris Cerrone on his show, I literally spent almost the entire first episode talking about how I hated podcasts. And I was genuine about it. I was like, I don't understand this world. You guys all sound so weird to me. Everybody sounds like they're really far away like that. And it just seems so bland, and everybody's asking the same questions. This is like a glorified question and answer contest, it felt like. And I granted, I had only listened to maybe 2 or 3 podcasts at that moment in time, but that's all it really takes, right? You can only get people's attention for so long, right?
First impressions are powerful.
Absolutely. And so it is uber important to me that, I'm all about people who want to try to do podcasting, do it. You don't have to be the most dynamic human on the planet. You don't. If you want to try it, I am all about go do what's going to make you happy. If you're going to market it, go do it and follow the lead of people who kind of have done it, and then put your own spin on it. But as far as quality goes, I cannot impress that. I cannot make that an important note enough. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it is such an important thing because it did turn me away from this community. And I'm someone who probably would have embraced this many, many years ago had I not been given or found or stumbled upon the wrong thing, So I mean, and it's not hard to do, right, Ellery? I mean, don't you have like a quick tips thing that you do all the time where you're telling people how to do it for cheap and not have to worry about spending a ton of money?
Yeah, I did. I won't say I literally wrote the book, but I did about how you can do it for how you can get quality content and sound without having to spend a whole lot of money. Yeah. It's actually the exact setup, pretty much, that I'm using right now, and that I've done for over 60 episodes of my show. That's great. Yeah, exactly.
And we, Chris and I just did an episode. Actually, it released today. We recorded it a couple weeks ago, but we released it today, kind of challenging the community a little bit on getting outside of the box. Because what we've noticed is, quality is key, and so we give a list of really easy things that you can buy. Great mic. All you need is a mic and a computer, basically, and you can figure it out. Then you can grow from there. But so on this episode today, we talk about that and talk about basically podcasting from a backpack, and you can do it on the go and all that. But the whole point in that was, yes, you need to sound good. You need to sound good. Period. End of story. We don't want to make the podcasting community look like amateurs and come off to the rest of the world as amateurs. We want to see it grow. So everybody needs to help everybody else out in making that happen. To your point, the tides rise and we all rise with it, But at the end of the day, we also were trying to challenge everyone. And I would say it on your show as well that, don't get stuck in doing it the exact same way every time. Try new things every time. Try to learn, try to expand what you're doing and your format every single time. Change up your questions for your interviews, change up your topics, subjects, change up where you do it from in your house or in your neighborhood or in your city, or do it on a plane, who knows, but really just try to be different, or add video if you've never done video, or you know what I mean? So we're just really trying to push people to not only sound amazing and do it as to the best of their ability from a content quality standpoint, but then to also continue to grow. Because what we've noticed, me and Chris, and I'm speaking on his behalf, is that we that's our motto. We don't ever want to do it the same all the time, every time. So you'll listen to our shows and they sound almost every show sounds completely different with the exception of the music. And some of the, stupid terminology that we use just because that's how we talk. But at the end of
Bougie, for example.
But at the end of the day, like we are constantly trying to do things different. And I think that's the best part of this about this community is we're all like rooting each other on. Everybody, if I see that you did something great, we're like, go Ellery, go. You even recently were like, hey, I did a blog post about that backpack podcasting thing. We were like, yes, go tell people, do. So I think that was you, right? Did you do that?
Yeah,
Okay, I just want to make sure, like we all have the same ideas, but it's all about we all don't have to execute those ideas the same, and we love it. We think it's it's the only way for us to grow is if we all have the same ideas, great, but go put your own spin on it and then create new ideas from it. I just went on a soapbox, sorry. And I liked your blog a lot, by the way.
Well, thank you. I was definitely inspired by Chris and just throwing it in a backpack and doing just having in-person face-to-face stuff. There was a ad about cell phones or something that's been circulating, not an ad but just a video about how connected we all are but how disconnected we actually are. You checking your Facebook feed while you're sitting across the table at dinner and just get out of the comfort zone of hiding, not hiding, but hiding behind a microphone and hiding behind a computer screen.
Absolutely.
And, do some of those crazy things because it still is fairly open and nobody wants to hear just the exact same thing. Well, some people do, but I'm not one of them.
No, and I think you and Chris aren't either. You do a great job of changing it up, and I see you trying new things all the time and doing. I just think it's great. I think you're a really great model for somebody who just wants to start out and wants to see, how it can be done right. I think you're doing it right. So congratulations to you.
Well, thank you. I don't always feel like I'm doing it. I feel like I'm, the blind guy in a dark room. I guess it doesn't matter if the dark room or a lighted room if you're blind. But, just trying to feel my way around, trying to see what works and what doesn't work. And then, if you find something that does work, just keep pounding it until it doesn't. And it's always just kind of just try like pin the tail on the donkey or something. Yeah. Just once you get it, go for it. But keep trying.
Yeah.
So fast forward, we talked. I think it was the first half of August or so. Now it's like we mentioned, it's Halloween. So October 31st. It's been
my favorite day of the year. Sorry, it's my favorite day of the year.
Just a quick question for you: Are you the type that like decorates your house and does all that stuff, or you just dress? Or I don't say just, but do you dress up and go out into the neighborhood?
We have full intention every year to decorate our house. We've done it a couple of times, but in the craziness of my life and my husband and my kids and all the stuff we have going on, we have not been able to do it in the last couple of years. My kids get bummed every time. Mom, we didn't decorate again. And I'm like, yeah, but you got a rad costume. Let's go out, So, so we're those people that go from go to 7 or 8 different rich neighborhoods and get the best candy possible and go to like all the haunted houses and all that stuff.
Well, I think if she's old enough to get asked to prom, she's old enough to decorate her own front
That's
yard.
A really good point. I should actually say that to her. You should own this, honey. This is all you, not me and Daddy anymore.
Exactly. So you've got how old is your daughter? How old do you have to be to go to prom?
Well, she got asked to homecoming, and she's a freshman, so she's 14 years old. But she's 4.5 inches taller than me, so she might as well be 30. So legs for days. I'm worried every single day that she goes to school. She goes to a performing arts high school. It's kind of like Fame. I don't know if you remember the movie or the show back in the 70s.
Not at all.
No, not at all. Well, you're probably too young, and now I feel.
And I don't think I would have watched.
Probably not. Yeah. Well, you had to audition. She had to audition to be in to get into the high school. They only accept a certain number of kids, and they have a dance program, a theater program, an art program, and a language, and then a music program. So it's all arts and language. And so she was accepted. She was one of the highest rated freshman auditions. We're very, very proud about that because she's spent so many years focused on dance. So she's really got an amazing talent, and we're stoked that she's doing it at the school. With that being said, though, this is an arts school. So there's a lot of different artsy type of people there. I went to the same high school, so I know exactly what she's dealing with. But it's just so cool to me because she got asked to a homecoming in a very artsy way. You know, this guy created this Cinderella poster and presented a glass slipper with candy and all this stuff. And she's like, Mom, but we're just friends. Like, I don't even know why he asked me. We're just friends. And I'm like, then go as friends and shut up. Like, you're gonna have a good time. Like, just go. So yeah, she's 14 and then my son is 9 and he's a character. He's me times 10, but in a 9-year-old's body. And I'm scared for the world because I know what I had to offer. And this kid, woo, doggy, look out, world. That's all I got to say.
I've seen some of the stuff that you shared that he's said, and it does crack me up. I won't lie. I won't lie.
Thank you. Yeah. So Phoenix and Savannah, yeah, they're a big focus, and they're a big reason as to why I made some definite recent shifts in my life and in my goals and our plans for what Chris and I are doing, and then, you know, what my husband and I are planning for our future. So it's been great, and that's why I'm so stoked that we're talking today again, because it's like literally completely different than when I was talking to you just 3 months ago.
Yeah, so 3 months ago you were working. I'll let you say the name if you still want to, but you were working for somebody else. They were doing some really cool stuff. Now, I don't. Well, I'll let you tell the story, but I think that it has been quite a wild ride over the last 3 months.
Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy year and a half for me, to be honest. I started. I've done a lot of stuff in my career. I've been very, very fortunate. I've worked my butt off in the gaming industry for casinos, for people who make slot machines. And then I shifted over to the entertainment industry about 3 years ago. I took over marketing for Cirque du Soleil. So big brand, really cool, amazing stuff, especially in Vegas. They own the Las Vegas Strip. And I did marketing for them, which is awesome. Like, we did everything cool you could imagine. It was really, really awesome, really, really cool. But it was kind of like the top of the mountain for that industry. Like, you don't go, unless you go to work for Disney, you don't really do much else, you know? So the company went through a couple rounds of layoffs. My position was eliminated as part of that. They're doing some restructuring. And so I took that as an opportunity to start consulting on my own about a year and a half ago. I didn't really want to go anywhere else in the industry. I was kind of done with corporate. Did that for about 9 months, but I did it with like no direction, right? I was like, well, I guess I'll try this, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I fully, encourage people to try things in that manner, because it does force you to kind of really, take anything as it comes, and it could take you down a new path. But for me, I had a hard time with it for like 9 months. I had a ton of clients. I was having fun, but I was just like, what am I doing? Like, what am I even doing with my life? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, every day I was just like so down because I wasn't super duper passionate about consulting at that time and what I was doing at that time. So fast forward 9 months after I was laid off, I put my consulting kind of to the side, as I was given an opportunity to go work for the Jabberwockies, which is a hip hop dance crew. They won MTV's America's Best Dance Crew, and they were on America's Got Talent. And so they've been on TV, and they're very, very well known in the hip hop dance community. They have a show on the Strip. They invited me to come in and help them restructure their company and also own the marketing of that and just help them figure themselves out. So I was like, you know what? This is what I'm good at. This is what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about helping people, passionate about, doing exactly what they asked me to come in and do. So I put consulting to the side, still had a couple clients, but really went back into the corporate world, which the whole year I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that ever again. And then I was like, well, this isn't corporate. It's hip hop. It's hip hop. It's not corporate. Chris Cerrone laughs at me every time I used to say that. He's like, Laci, they have cubicles. It's you sit at a desk. It's corporate. I'm like, it's hip hop,
I have a desk,
I know,
but it's not a cubicle.
Yeah, and so did that for the last about nine months or so. And then what was cool though during my process with the Jabberwockies was, yeah, of course I was making great contacts and having a good time and doing really, really cool stuff. But I just wasn't. What it did was it kind of made me realize, okay, I get it. Like I'm not supposed to be in the corporate world. I am supposed to be an entrepreneur. I now believe that I can do that because I had met Chris and I had met a few other people in my life that had really opened my eyes to what my potential really was. Like for anybody listening, if you spend enough time in corporate, you start to believe that that's all you're worth and that's all you can do. You really don't you don't see the real true vision and potential of who you are if you're surrounded around people who don't want to do anything but climb the corporate ladder, because then you're kind of like keeping up with the Joneses. You know what I mean? You're kind of like, well, I guess I'll do that. I don't know. So it's hard to come up with creative new ideas when you're not surrounded by people who are the same and doing the same thing. So as soon as I was able to be surrounded by people like Chris and couple other people in my life doing their thing out there, just trying new things, doing new ideas, being in the entrepreneurial space, something switched in my body, my head, and my heart. And I kid you not, like the floodgates opened. For the first time in my life, I felt like, oh my gosh, like I'm in the space I'm supposed to be in. I've never felt like I belonged in any corporate career I did. I don't care how fast I climbed the ladder. I don't care if I was the youngest director of marketing in the gaming industry at one point in time. I don't care. I never cared. Never cared. Didn't love it. Didn't care. I just was going with the flow, And I'll go with the flow all day long, but I like to make the flow. I like to make the wave and the tides and the ripples, because that's who I am. So it was really cool. So over the 8 or 9 months that I was with Jabberwockies, I started a business with some friends, a yarn business. It's like custom hand dyed yarn, because I'm a knitter, and that's really cool. I tell people that, they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's yarn. Get over it. It's yarn. People make things out of yarn. Your grandma, which makes you that hat every year for Christmas, that's made out of the stuff that I'm gonna dye. But it's so much cooler than that. So I did that. Chris and I obviously started doing the podcast, which was amazing, and it has opened up my eyes to so many things and my heart to so many new people, which has been incredible. We started the Next Level Society, which is our private business coaching group that we do some really fun, cool things with, and it's growing exponentially by the day. And we're having a hard time keeping up with it, actually. But the group is just taking its own personality and becoming its own being, which has been really, really, really cool, because we get to help entrepreneurs figure themselves out. Like, how cool is that? That's what I love to do,
Yeah.
And then above and beyond all that, I really started to realize, okay, I do like consulting. I just didn't do the type of consulting I wanted to do last year. That's why it didn't work for me. That's why I was like, what am I doing? What am I even doing? So I kind of took a new approach to it. I started talking to some people and went, I'm ready to go back into that space. I'm ready to walk away from Jabberwockies. I did what I could for them while I was there. And I'm really ready to take this new phase in my life on full force. And I'll be honest with you, for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm wearing the skin I'm supposed to be wearing. I'm literally, every day I wake up going, yep, I'm on the right track. I know what I'm doing. And I've never felt like that. So it's really cool.
Wow. So are you still working with the Jabberwockies, or is that done?
Nope. I elected to leave my position
That's what I thought.
It's been about 2 weeks now. So what had happened was they had actually asked if I would be a consultant, or I had said, hey, why don't I just do consulting for you guys rather than being an employee? That way it would give me time to do my thing. But what I realized after we had decided to do that was that it wasn't ever going to be able to be my thing if I didn't make a clean break from that world and focus on this new world. So trying to keep one leg in each world just didn't make sense to me. So I had to go back to them and say, listen, I've done some thinking. I love you guys, and I will work with you and help you on anything you ever need. But I don't think I need to be doing this right now. I need to be focused on my yarn business, which is about to launch online. I need to be focused on my business consulting, and I really want to focus on the podcast. And then obviously I had other clients lining up for consulting. So essentially I have 4 full-time businesses, which is really interesting.
Yeah. I bet it does keep you busy.
Yeah, so I don't have time for anybody else. Sorry. So Jabberwockies, graciously said, no problem. We're going to miss you. We'd love to work with you in the future, but we understand. And so they're giving me, about 6 months to kind of figure myself out. And then they said they'd give me a call and see what we could work out at that point. But, I have a feeling they'll be in a different place then, and so will I. So I'm excited. You know what? I don't hate the industry. I love it. I love what I learned. I love my career. I would never change it for anything. I'm just stoked about what's in front of me rather than behind me.
Well, I think it's really just like you said, and I can say it's true, and it was true for me. When you're working for corporate America, pigeonholed isn't necessarily the right word, but you're paid to do a job, not necessarily a whole bunch of different things, even if your interests are in that way. When I was working at Dell, I was a salesperson, and it would have been very difficult for me to move into training, which is what I would have loved to have done, which is, it's what I do now, coaching and training new people and new hires. And I do the same thing now. It's just for entrepreneurs. But even if you like your job, and at one point I did, and you still have fond memories of that, it's very hard to move horizontally if your interests do when you're working for someone else.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you were saying, right?
Yeah, it's just, I think the biggest lesson that I have learned in the last year has been surround yourself with like-minded people. And by like-minded, I don't mean y'all have the same views. That's stupid. That's boring. But like-minded meaning or like-spirited, I should say. Like you need to be, so if you want to be a successful entrepreneur and you want to even just, you don't even know what you want to be when you grow up yet, but you just need to get some ideas coming into your head. Surround yourself with people, spend time with people, go to coffee shops and be near and talk to people who are on that same path, because inevitably one conversation, one comment, one something can spark something in you that you didn't know was there. But it wouldn't have happened if you're around somebody who's going, oh, did you hear what Jim said at the water cooler yesterday? Like that doesn't spark anything. That just sparks stupidness, you know? Stupidity. Stupidity. Stupidness isn't even a word.
There's so much truth to that, you know, because creativity is a muscle. The more you use it, the more creative you have. And it all could be, you know, the catalyst to that could be, you know, a mastermind group or a next level society or something like that. Just finding the like-minded people who see the world differently but have similar goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that this is the first time I've ever had questions like this, but I think you saw in your Facebook group for the Cerrone Show. And actually before that, when are they going to call it the Laci Show?
We're never going to call it the Laci Show, but thank you for
That's
asking.
what Ashley asked me. Like, when are they, what did she say?
I didn't take it over. No. It's the Chris Cerrone Show, but we have updated it to Cerrone Show so that it's no longer Chris. It's just the Cerrone Show. He did the hard leg work to set it up. It is his show. I am just accoutrement, if you will, to the entire experience. But you know, he's always arguing with me. It's our show. It's not my show. It's our show. And I'm like, stop. Yes, it's our show, but this is your baby. You started it, and he deserves all the praise, and he still runs the show. I just take it over sometimes, you know.
Does he ever do solo shows or episodes without you anymore?
No, it's so funny. The other day we had an interview planned and I wasn't feeling well. I was like, I don't know what happened, but I was like, I ain't coming. So you need to either it was like the day before. I go, you need to schedule it or reschedule it or move it or something. And he's like, I said, or just do the interview, whatever. And he's like, are you kidding? I'm not doing the interview without you. That's not the same. That's not our show. And I was like, oh, is that really how you feel? Like, I don't know. I just assumed if I couldn't make it to something, you would just go ahead. And he's like, no, that's not how this works anymore. So I don't think so.
Very cool.
That felt really cool for me to hear him say that. And I'm all about it. So yeah, no, I think it's going to always be Chris and I doing shows, which will be great. We do a lot of solo shows with just he and I talking and bantering. And it's funny. I got all wrapped up into now we're podcasting and I'm podcasting now. So that means we have to get interviews. And I just got all stressed like most people do when they start doing this, like thinking now I've got to schedule myself out and get all these people on and da 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 da. And then at some point one night, at like 11 o'clock, I texted Chris and I go, I just had an epiphany. He's like, what? I said, after a whole week of me going back and forth, getting all crazy wrapped up in who are we going to interview next? We don't have any shows for next week. He's like, I said, it just occurred to me that we started the you and me thing with just you and me. There was nobody else in the room for like a lot of shows. So I guess I had just forgotten that we used to do that. So I was like, so we could just record you and me if you want. I said, it should be okay. And he's like, yeah, Lace, I've been trying to tell you that for like a week. I was like, okay, sorry. I got all wrapped up thinking I had to like contribute and bring people in and, you know, so that's the deal now.
We do like our routines. Every once in a while I'll throw in solo show. I recorded one a couple weeks ago where I'd finally decided to leave the National Speakers Association group on Facebook because they really had pissed me off.
Oh, yeah?
And I recorded like a 25-minute episode, but I didn't know if it was one like I should release, if it sounded too negative or whatever. They just really pissed me off.
Whatever, dude. Just it's your platform, your voice, your show. Who cares?
Yeah, I know. I try to be positive, you know, and have some sort of applicable life lesson to the episode. And that one was like, well, I came up with one. Just don't stick your head in the sand. That's kind of the moral of the story, because that's all that they do in that family.
Oh man, that's so.
Anyway,
I get it. It sounds like you were pretty PO'd about the whole thing, and that's the whole reason you did this podcast, right? Is to be able to share your opinion and to help people and to share your experiences with the world. I'm assuming so. That's an experience. Yeah. That's the lesson. Is you had that experience and you learned something from it. Who cares?
Yeah, maybe I'll throw that out there and see and see what happens. But anyway, back to where I got us sidetracked from. A question from our mutual friend Cynthia
Oh, I
Sanchez,
love
and
her.
she says hello, by the way.
I love
But
her. You know that we talk about her on almost every single episode with Chris Cerrone, right? Did you know that?
I did not know
So
that.
Cynthia, I'll tell you a very quick story because I'm going to sidetrack us again, but I'll get back to the question. But met her at at New Media Expo in Vegas, which is where I met Chris, and we hit it off immediately. I completely dominated her evening. She and her husband were there. We were drinking wine, having a great time, had a blast. I fell in love with them. Fell in love with them. Fast forward to when I first started doing shows with Chris, on every episode something would come up and I would go, "Oh, like Cynthia Sanchez, Cynthia Sanchez." So literally she got a shout out on every episode for like 30 episodes straight. And then we started doing some stuff with her offline, just some fun talks and hangouts and stuff like that. But it's just so funny to me that I love that we're just so entrenched in each other's lives. And we too just simply met at New Media Expo and just are very new friends and really only online friends that have met in life a couple times. She's just an incredible human. I love her, love her, love her.
Yes, she is very cool, and I love her story, which I'll put a link in the show notes. But I had interviewed her, just how she got her first client. It was led to other people with similar stories, which is really cool,
Mm-hmm.
and I think is a lesson for people to learn or to think about in general about how you can go about generating business. But on Facebook, she says, where does Laci find her energy? She is amazing. So, Laci, where do you find your energy from? You do have 4 full-time job,
Oh.
2 kids, homecoming coming up, Halloween, a husband. You got to deal with Chris.
Yeah,
Where do you
man.
find the
And
energy?
Chris sucks a lot of that life out of me, let me just say. um, I don't know. I've always been someone who has had I've always just been someone who's always had a youthful energy and spirit about me. I mean, I was one of those yes, one of those annoying people in high school that would like run around the hallways doing cartwheels and just be really excited and really outgoing and oh my god, guys, what's going on? Like I was just like one of those people. Like I
Oh
probably should
wow.
have been a cheerleader, but I didn't want the reputation, so I focused on dance instead. But I don't know, it just comes from within me. Now, don't get me wrong, I crash and burn a couple times a month because I push, 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 push. So what I've been trying to do from an energy standpoint is drink lots of water, focus on making sure I have food in my system throughout the day because I tend to run out of steam pretty fast. And then
Hmm.
really, I get energized by other people. Like that's where I literally suck my energy is from other people. So I just go. I'll sit in coffee shops or I'll sit with Chris and we'll just banter back and forth. Even when we fight, I get energized. I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, well this and that, and then I'm like, I'm gonna go do jumping jacks. You know what I mean? So it's
Not me at all.
no,
The
no. And
opposite
don't
of
get me
me.
wrong. I love my sleep. I love my glass of wine and crashing at the net. Don't get me wrong. I am all about that. But I am not someone who's ever had the patience or the mindset to sit on a beach for more than a couple of hours without like getting antsy and wanting to go do something else. So my energy comes from the depths of my toenails all the way up to my hair follicles. It's inside me. But to make sure that I can maintain it, I just again surround myself with people that energize me, and I just make sure I drink lots of water, and I try to get a good amount of sleep when I can. Although I do get stuck with bouts of insomnia sometimes, which sucks. But yeah, I just think it's inside me, and I just think it really is what I'm working on will get me excited. I don't care how tired I am. If I'm stoked about a project, nothing can stop me from working on it.
I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
And you don't have to name any names here, but do you at this point you've been, going 50 or so episodes with the podcast and creative people and generally positive people. Do you have any negative or depressing people in your life at this point?
Depressing people in my life. No, I think
Was that by accident or did
no.
you design it that way?
I've always been someone who doesn't deal with drama very well. I'm just kind of like, yeah, okay, bye. Like as soon as there's drama, I'm like, we can try to work through this. But as soon as it continues to be an ongoing theme, we got to go. Now, that being said, everybody's got drama that you can't walk away from: family, parents, brothers, aunts, crazy people. I just have a tendency to very quickly retreat if something or someone has a pull on me that's in the wrong direction, or I'll straight up tell them. Like like my business partner, I love her dearly, love her personality. She's extremely direct and has a tendency to come off in a negative way. If you know her, you know she's not being negative. That's just her delivery, but just has a tendency to come off that way. So every now and then I'll just look her straight in the eye and go, okay, you can either stop or you can leave. Like that's not going to work here. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of, I don't deal with depressing people very well. I'll either try to lift them up, lift them up, lift them up. And if I can't, I kind of have to like walk away just because I'm very empathetic. So if someone's around me in that nature, it brings me down. Doesn't matter if they're meaning to or not. Doesn't matter if they're talking directly to me or not. I feel it and it brings me down. So I think it's probably by design, like I'm doing it subconsciously. And I'm only right now for the first time ever, like saying out loud that I'm aware of what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One of my blog posts about, it was called 7 Types of People Successful People Avoid. And one of those, or I shared that in a Toastmasters thing. Mm-hmm. And one of the people in the audience said, well, I don't really agree with that. You know, you've got to be nice with everybody. And she kind of created a ceiling for herself, I think.
Yes.
And that's why I asked that question. Is I hear a lot of people that they're just, they want to be friends with everybody, and okay, whatever. But if you're not surrounding yourself with the people that are doing the things that you want to do, and are happy and positive and creative and, you know, creating forward momentum and those kinds of things, you're going to be stuck on the couch with everybody else, or like this lady who, I don't know, but she's not going a whole lot of places.
Yeah, I think that it's not even about people being happy, because I don't need people to be happy around me. I mean, that just happens naturally, and I'm happy enough for the freaking world. So I don't need that. What I need is people to be moving forward. I need people who are forward thinking and who are not afraid of change, and who are problem solvers, not problem creators. And it's all, listen, I have my down days, don't get me wrong. And shoot, poor Chris deals with it more than anyone, because we do spend probably 12 hours a day together, but maybe that's an exaggeration. No, there's sometimes 12 hours a day, but regardless, like we you know, if I don't have someone to be able to bounce an idea off of that's not going to take it and go, yeah, you're right, the end of the world is near, you should probably stop what you're doing. They're going to go, okay, let's think about it. Well, what about this? Well, let's look at it from this angle. If those people aren't in my life and I have the people like I just mentioned there, I am stopped dead in my tracks. I don't have anybody to help me move forward or get through the mud or just commiserate with for 5 seconds and then move on. You know what I mean? I'm not someone who dwells on things. I never have been. Now, my husband would probably disagree, and so would Chris, because he's like my work husband, essentially, because I do have a tendency to bring things up from the past that we already moved on from. But that's not dwelling. That's just making a note, right? That's just reminding everybody in the room.
Remember this time happened? When you left your shirt on the floor?
This is why I'm saying this today. Yeah. But no, I don't dwell on things. I'm very fast. I'm very fast paced, and I'm like, okay, that sucks. I'm in a bad mood about it. Let me get over it. Let's talk through it. Okay, now I'm ready. Let's go. Let's move on. You know, I just don't have time for that. And I feel like you're right. You don't have to necessarily be surrounded by happy people, but be surrounded by positive and problem solvers, positive people that are problem solvers, that are willing to just continue to look forward and not get stuck.
Yeah, one of my friends, I did a push to sell the book that we mentioned before, How to Start Your Professional Podcast, for $200 or less. And he bought the book, and we've talked. We were, you know, we're great friends before, but we talk 4 or 5 times a week now, because he's now, you know, he's got the podcasting gear, and he's wanting to do something a little bit different with his life. And he started sharing one of his ideas with me. And before, when I worked corporate and had my corporate mindset, it would have been like, yeah, that's not going to work. No, that's not. Yep. Now I did have to make a conscious effort, but every time Jason would come to me, now I've gotten into the habit of saying, I'm not sure I, really see exactly I'm not seeing the full picture enough. I need more explanation, or I'm sure it's a good idea, but I'm not quite seeing your vision. Exactly. And maybe those are corny kinds of things, but I don't want to be...
You're asking the right questions now, whereas before you have had questions, right?
And I don't want to discourage somebody just because I don't see the potential, or I'm not the target market for this, the services he wants to provide. That's not... I just don't do those things. So instead of saying, yeah, no, or this is how I would do it, I've had to change what I say. But like you said, that comes from surrounding yourself with the right kind of people, and being open to different opinions and different ways of thinking, and seeing new opportunities.
Yep, absolutely. I like I said, the one lesson, if I was going to tell anybody breaking into this, even just a podcasting world or starting a new business, or someone who's just doesn't even know what they want to be, but they know they're not in the right place, get around people that are doing what you think is amazing, whether it be just doing their own thing, whether it be doing a podcast, whether it be they're starting an online business, they're creating a product, they're selling it on Instagram, whatever. Get around those people and talk to them, and just talk to them and talk to them. And the more you do that, it's either going to make you realize, no, that's really not for me. I'm in the right spot. I just need to shift and do some new things. Or you're going to realize, I need to be in that world. That sounds incredible. And now I've got to figure out what my thing is,
How do you find those? How do you find those people? It's not like you can do a Google search for people who think like
yeah,
you.
You're absolutely right. I think it's just a matter of putting yourself, is such a horrible term, putting yourself out there a little bit online. Like, go on Twitter, start searching hashtags for entrepreneurs, start searching hashtags. This is how Chris expanded his network to the level that it is. And he's taught me a ton just through these methods. Go on Facebook, find networking groups that you think might be something that you'd be interested in, or go sit in a freaking coffee shop and talk to the neighbor that's sitting next to you working on their Mac. Because there's typically 800 or 900 authors sitting in any given Starbucks at any given time writing their next novel. So go sit and talk, and you would be surprised. Like, there's a little coffee shop that Chris and I work from sometimes here called Grouchy John's, and we are starting to not like Grouchy's as much as we used to, because we go and now people want to we don't ever get anything done, because people are like, oh, there's those people that talked to me last time and now we want to get their ideas, and which is great. Like, we're all about that, but we're like, oh, we got to find somewhere else to work because we're not getting anything done. But we did that there for a long period of time. We would go, we would sit, someone would walk by, someone would be sitting next to us working on something. We would check their computer screen and go, oh, sorry to be nosy, but wow, you're working in Libsyn. Are you doing a podcast? That's really cool. We do a podcast. You know what I mean? So we just started just paying attention to your surroundings. I mean, you could be at a grocery store and meet somebody like this. You just have to be open to it. Say it out loud, put it into the universe, be open with your friends and family about, I really just want to kind of come across people that are like this. And then meetup.com is great too. I met a ton of people. I was trying to learn how to build websites about a year ago when I was consulting so that I could help a couple of clients out. I went to WordPress meetups, like WordCamp kind of, and WordPress monthly meetups. And I ended up meeting some really cool people that I'm still friends with today. So it's just about doing your research, figuring out kind of what avenue you want to go. And then if you can't do any of that stuff, or you're just not ready to go out there online, go sit at a coffee shop and see what happens.
I completely agree. I mean, I don't know. I keep picking on AOL, and I had to watch what I said with a friend of mine I was talking to in Canada. I don't know if they have KOL.
Oh,
no,
I don't know.
Or C.
COL.
Yeah. I guess
all right. You were thinking about your middle name. You're getting confused. It's okay.
Yes. Yeah. But with you log in and you got these weird chat rooms, and I think there's still this stigma of doing business online or meeting people online. But the people that I talk to now on a pretty frequent basis are all people I met online.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying go to Craigslist. Like, I'm still a little scared of Craigslist, although Chris isn't. I'm a little afraid of Craigslist, but I trust Facebook groups and things like that. I don't know why.
Another question that we got from, and I think she pronounces it Nida, right?
Yeah,
Nida Kazmi.
It's it's as if it were a TH, Nitha, Nida. But you can say Nida and she won't smack you. You're good.
Well, she asked, how does she own herself working with a man, and how are you teaching your kids to own themselves, make decisions, and grow?
She's always got the most ridiculously loaded questions, I swear.
That sounds hard. I'm glad I'm not answering that.
So the first part of the question is, how do I own myself working with a man? Let's just be real here, Nida, as well as you, Ellery. I've always owned myself working with men. Let's just keep in mind, I grew up working in the gaming industry, all males, uh, one of the only female executive directors of marketing in the entire company and almost the entire industry. So I know how to hang with the boys if I need to. But I think with Chris, it's different. He's not a male. He's not like the typical, like when she asked that question, it's obviously, I think she's poking fun at the fact that, he and I have a tendency to own each other from time to time, whatever the case may be, whatever the conversation comes up. But he's different. And we have an incredible relationship to where we have grown our friendship in a way that we can say what we need to say, not hurt each other's feelings and move on. Luckily, we're very similar. So it doesn't take us back or take us offline if I come at him in a way that I'm like, yeah, you did this and it bothered me, or yeah, you did that and it bothered me. And he can do the same with me. We usually will talk it out 10 minutes and we move on. And that's just how we roll. I own myself by maintaining, a focus on who I want to be. And like I said before, the skin I'm wearing today, I want to make sure that nothing happens to prevent me from continuing to grow and in myself, not as a podcaster team, but for me, I need to personally be growing, which will then do nothing but help the show and help what we're doing as a business team in all the other realms that we're working together. So he makes it pretty easy because he wants to see me grow as well, which is incredible. He's an amazing partner, and I'm very fortunate to have him by my side during this process. And he's been a huge influence in my life to get me here. So he's not the typical quote man. He is very manly and very, macho, Mr. I'm an Italian, Cerrone, blah, blah, blah. But he's been an incredible support system to me. So he makes it pretty easy, which is great.
Do you think it's hard spending so much time with another person who happens to be a male and not part of your family, not your husband or brother?
Yeah, it definitely, when we first, especially being that we're both married, right? He has a wife, I have a husband. And luckily we did some groundwork in the very beginning. I met his wife. I love her, fell in love with her. She's incredible. He met my husband. They get along great. Our husband and wife, Tiffany, his wife, and my husband, Jamie, razz each other. They're buddies. They text, they talk, so we're all kind of entrenched in each other's lives now, which has been really helpful to the process. And I've always been kind of one of the boys. I've always been a little bit of a tomboy in a tutu, which is kind of strange to say, but so having him in my life in this way is not tough. We just it was tough in the initial phase because I initially saw, oh my goodness, this is moving much faster than I thought it would. Pump the brakes for 5 minutes. Let's make sure our families are okay with this, because we don't want to obviously do damage that shouldn't ever have been done, just because we're trying to be business partners. So on that front, awesome. It was definitely an issue up front, not an issue, but an issue that it could have become up front if we didn't do that legwork. And I'm thankful we did that. Thank goodness. But otherwise, no, he's easy to get along with. He's literally like the mirror version of me with a lot more hair, and obviously the male parts. So he's like, he's like my counterpart in male form, and I wouldn't have it any other way, which is great.
Well, to me, that question is like owning yourself. That's like being true to who you are, not trying to be someone else around other people, or being a chameleon, being comfortable with your own skin, like you mentioned before, being who you are all the time. And I know one of the guys in my my paid mastermind, one of the reasons why, or one of the things that he struggles with is feeling, or he called it the imposter syndrome. Feeling like he's trying to copy or emulate someone else's success or how they do things. And I think maybe Nida is asking about that too with your kids. What could you tell the guy in my mastermind? Maybe it's the same advice that you would give your kids, or maybe she's wanting to know the answer for herself as well. Sure. How do you encourage and engender that with other people? Well,
I'll tell you how Chris and I do it, because it's very easy in this world to be to be infected by imposter syndrome, right? Like it's very easy. So Chris and I from day one have, if we start seeing somebody be really successful with something, of course we all notice, and we root them on, and we're like, yeah, that's awesome, man. Look at him, go her, go him, whoever. If we see ourselves starting to try to do it subconsciously like that person, or we see what they're doing, and we go, man, we got to do that. Both of us will check ourselves immediately and go, no, We don't need to do that. We need to do our version of that. So it's great. And listen, the world's full of, in the advertising world specifically and anywhere else, it's all copy and paste, copy and paste. Everybody's copying or stealing from each other. And that's the best part about this world, is that you can do that. You can steal or copy or emulate something someone has done and put your own twist on it and have it look 100% different. So we always ask that question when we start to do a new project or a new thing or try something new on the show. It's, okay, who do we know that did something like this? Okay, oh, whoops, we didn't even realize we were copying, quote, copying them. Let's try it different. Or we love what they're doing. We are absolutely copying them. We're either going to give them credit or we're going to let them know, hey, we took your idea and did this with it. Hope it's okay. And then we go from there. So from the show standpoint, that's how we do that. And in our business life and in general, we're constantly putting it, that's the first question we ask is, how can we do it different? Who did it first? Let's not do it like them, you know?
I'll be looking for that email from Chris about the podcasting in a bag thing.
Well, we did this a while ago, punk. We recorded it 3 weeks ago. No.
I know. I got the idea from him to write the blog.
No, you're fine. It's the shit's on. But you did your own thing. You did a blog post. We did a podcast. So it's two different things. So, and then as far as my kids go and any advice to anybody else, you know, being a mom of a teenager, and not even of a teenager, even if she was 5 years old, I would do this. You know, it's hard, especially having a little girl who, you know, now, especially at this age, it's all about what's everybody wearing, what's everybody doing. I want to do it just like them. You know, I mean, back when I was in high school, it was, you know, flannel t-shirts and Doc Martens. And guess what? Those are back again. Like I'm old enough to have a kid that's wearing the same clothes I wore in high school. That's bad. But, cause I feel old, but
I remember Doc Martens.
I know, right? So like,
they're so bad.
So she'll come home from school and be like, oh, Mom, I really want to get this. I really want to buy these pants, or I really want to buy this brand, or I really want to wear these shoes. And I'll go, cool. Who was wearing it at school that you liked? Like who showed you this? Oh, nobody. I just know. Who showed you? Oh, this person. Okay, cool. Great. Well, that's awesome. Okay, now how are you going to do it differently? What do you mean? Well, listen, I'll buy you a flannel shirt, but I'm not going to let you just go wear it around your waist like everybody else. How are you going to wear it differently? How are you going to put your spin on it? Oh, well, maybe I could wear it like this. Cool. Go do. Let's go. Let's buy you a flannel shirt. Let's make it happen. So I'm just constant. And again, I'm not like this Nazi mom who's like, you're not allowed to dress like anyone else. Of course, she's going to fit in and she wants to be part of the crowd and all that. That's part of growing up. But I just always try to make sure she's asking herself that same question, or my son's asking himself that same question. Why, like my son wanted to do his own YouTube channel doing Minecraft videos. And I said, that's cool. There's 9 million people out there doing that. And I'm totally okay with you doing it. But what's going to be different about your show? Tell me, is it because it's just you? Is it because you're 9 and you're not 45 in your mom's basement? Is it because you're playing with a mask on versus with your own face? Like, how are you going to do it differently? And you can do it just like everyone else, but I want to make sure you at least ask yourself if there's a way for you to be able to do it differently. So I don't know. I'm just constantly challenging my kids in the same way that I challenge myself. I just think it's so important. And I wish I would have known that at 13, 14, 10 years old, that I didn't have to look like everyone else and I could still be cool. I didn't have to feel and sound like everyone else and do what everybody else was doing, and it would still be cool, if not cooler. So I don't know. I hope I've impressed that upon my kids at this young age. If not, I'm going to keep trying, because that's the life lesson that I think is the most important one out of all.
Awesome. And we just got one more. We'll try to squeeze it in. If you had to choose to go back in time, you had like hot tub time machine, or we can call it ballet time. That doesn't work either. Ballet
pirouette
shoes.
Time machine.
Yeah. If you had, but it was only set to go back to the 1980s or set to go to the 1990s, which time or which decade would you go to, and why?
I would definitely go to the 1990s. The music was way better in the 90s. No, the 1990s was when when I really kind of started to become aware of myself and life and stuff happening around me. You know, in the 80s, I was like up until I was 9 years old or something, right? So in the 90s is when I had like the most memorable life lessons and the most crappy things happen to me. You know what I mean? So like, I'd love to go back to the 90s and just relive all that with a little bird's eye view as to kind of what I know now, and try to apply some. I don't want to change anything, because obviously that could do catastrophic things to where I am now in life, but I just would love to go back and relive some of these moments that I have in my head. Some of them are horrible, like when I was jumped by 30 people, like if literally fought 30 people in front of my junior high school for no reason whatsoever, got beat up by 30 different people, which was horrendous. And then there's like amazing moments where I won the class president or not class president, theater club president, and got to do some cool things, and I got to audition for a few shows, or when I auditioned for the high school that my daughter now goes to and got accepted, and I did this summer theater program before freshman year and met with some of the most amazing people that I've ever met in my life that are now doing huge things in Hollywood and huge things on Broadway. Those are people I trained with, so I'd love to be able to go back and experience kind of the good and the bad and the ugly, from the good, bad, ugly, and all the great too, from some of those cool moments in my life, because I feel like I've probably lost some of the lessons that I gained in that. I've lost lost touch with some of the lessons that I gained in those moments, and also would love to just see who I was then and see how I've grown into who I am now.
Well, you and Clint Eastwood on that good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
Well, that question, you'll probably see it on your Facebook group, comes from Kim Trumbo. So thank you, Kim, and Cynthia and Nida.
You did it good. You did it right.
Close. For asking your question. And what was the last movie you saw?
Well, okay, so I watch documentaries a lot, and yesterday I watched, in the background while I was working, of course, I watched this one. I can't think of the name. It's the sushi chef from Japan, Jiro something, The Life of Jiro. Anyway, really, really, really cool documentary about this guy he's a world famous sushi chef, and literally his life is all about making the better piece of fish the next day. Like that's all, and the depth that goes into 10 years of apprentice training to do this. And it's like all these crazy things that they go through. It was just really inspiring and kind of nuts to me as well. Prior to that, I watched Print the Legend, which is an entrepreneurial, about the 3D printing world, entrepreneurial documentary that was also extremely enlightening. I would highly recommend it if you have time. It's on Netflix. And then the real, like, official motion picture that I saw was Chris and I. This is how sad it is. I haven't seen a movie in a long time. Chris and I watched Saving Mr. Banks on the airplane ride home from Podcast Movement. That's the last time I saw a movie. It was in mid-August. It's been 3 months. That's sad. I need to go to the movies more often.
Nice. Yeah, we just saw, what was it? That was really good. Guardians of the Galaxy was good, but that was out a while ago. We saw the one with Denzel where he's like killing people and stuff.
Which one? What? What are you talking about? Denzel's normally the good guy.
Well, he was sort of good. Good-ish.
Killing like the bad guys?
Some Russians and stuff.
All right. That sounds good.
Yeah. I don't remember the name of the movie. And it was okay. There was like basically no plot until like the last... I don't know. I think it was based on a book or a TV show from like the 70s or something. I don't remember. The Equalizer.
Oh, that's what it's called. Yeah, no, I haven't even heard of it.
And it was all right, but there's like a Craigslist thing there that ties it all.
Oh,
ties it all in.
All right.
Now that you had mentioned Craigslist.
I love movies with a passion. I always have. I used to work at Blockbuster Video, for crying out loud. Like I was like entrenched. I saw every movie. I was one of those nerds that they like, you'd go in and go, hey, what movie should I see? What's good? And I'd go, listen, all those top listed Blockbuster new release things, don't even go there. Go to this indie film over here. Like I was totally that nerd that was like, don't watch Titanic, watch this. You know what I mean? Like I was constantly trying to get my customers to watch like the weird indie films and show them that there was other movies out there that you could see that didn't have to have an A-list celebrity in them and they were still good. I was a nerd, but yeah, I miss watching movies. I love going to the movies. I actually really like going to the movies by myself. I've only done it a few times in my life, like when I've traveled for work and stuff. And man, it's really kind of cool. Like kind of creepy too, but it's kind of cool. Like that's me time. I don't get that normally. So like, yeah. So anyway, I promised I'm going to New York. Chris and I are doing a big, we have a client that we're consulting for in Boston, and we're going to spend a couple days in New York as well. While we're out there, we're going to do a meetup on the East Coast. We're super stoked about that. We're in the process of planning it. And I said to him, I will see a movie in New York City while we're there. I don't care what we do. I will see a movie in New York City. I don't know why. I'm like dead set on it.
You a fan of the AFI Top 100? I
am. I just don't have a chance to really stay focused on it for very long. I have a lot of friends that work in Hollywood, so I hear about their movies coming out and I hear about their TV shows and things like that, but I don't get to stay as in tune with it. I got 4 full-time jobs, dude. But I am a fan. I am a fan.
All right, we love ourselves some movies as well. Well, Lacey, we'll give some of the usual questions. We've run a little bit long, so I'm probably taking up something that you're
Nah, you're
else that you're
fine.
supposed to be
You're
doing.
fine.
Oh, well, since you said, I'm
Yeah,
just
you're
kidding.
fine. Listen, I got as long as you need.
Well, what's the word empower mean to you? I'll throw that and then my final question.
Empower. This is a word that was thrown at me a lot in the corporate world. A lot. Like there's a lot, how like the corporations, they buy these massive trainers that come in and they speak all these big rah 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 words and they do these
Yep.
sessions and you're supposed to nod your head and follow the beat. And it never meant a damn thing to me. Sorry, I hope that's okay that I said that. Never meant anything to me until I don't know, until I learned how to do that for other people. Like it didn't like see people trying to empower me. I never really knew what it meant. But then when I would find people in my team or find people in my life that I could see potential written all over them, and then they didn't even see it themselves. And I started to really realize, like, started to speak into them and pour into them and really say, like, did you know that this, or how about that, or why don't we try this? And you're amazing. And I just would start to like genuinely tell them the things that I knew that they had inside them, and then help them come to realize that they could actually shape those things into a business or a just a next life choice or a self confidence or whatever. That's when I finally figured out what it meant. It's really to empower somebody, or the word empowerment really is about pouring into one another the truth, not the BS, not the stuff that we've been told to think our whole lives, but the truth of what we see in one another and what we see within ourselves.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Now I'm gonna put maybe a slight spin on this next question. Usually I ask about a tip or a piece of advice that you could give somebody, but I want you to give this advice to your daughter, but not as a 14-year-old, but as she's just about to graduate from high school, debating on following, the traditional model of going to college, or maybe doing something a little bit different, just trying something out on her own, starting a business or traveling and getting some experience. What would you tell her as an 18-year-old?
Well, it's funny. My daughter has been worried about what college she was going to go to since she was 2.5 years old, literally. Like she also used to worry about whether she was a Democrat or a Republican when she was 2. She never could decide if she was one way or the other at 2.5, by the way. So we've been having that discussion for quite some time already. It's funny. I didn't go to college. I started college when I was like 28, I think, and I haven't finished yet. I go back every couple years for a couple semesters, and then something busy comes my way, and then I go that route. Life happens. So I am a very much a bootstraps, work your way up kind of person. I do believe in college. I think it's an experience that it's one experience of my life that I wish I would have gone through. And so I don't want her to not have that experience, but I have talked to her for many, many years now about that life experience is far more critical, and culture, being more cultured and understanding the world, and just having a view of the world before you think somebody tells you, or sorry, before the world tells you the view of the world that you're supposed to have. Does that make sense? Like going to college to me, sometimes you're told what you're supposed to think versus encouraged to think for yourself and come up with it on your own. So I am very, very much encouraging her to travel, whether it be when she graduates or the summers leading up to her graduation. We have friends and family that live in Singapore. We have friends and family that live in Germany, and we are very keen on taking her and letting her stay for a couple months and letting her live life in another country for a couple months. And don't get me wrong, like I don't know how I would live a day of my life without her next to me, but I also want to see her become the person she's supposed to become on her own. And I don't want to push her in any direction or let some college professor tell her something that might shape how she thinks about herself. I really want it to be on her own. So we are definitely encouraging her to see the world. And I'm encouraging it through myself as well. I've really done not much travel other than locally, domestically, but, and it's a huge piece of my heart that I think it needs to be fulfilled. I know she's got that spirit in her as well. So yeah. And with her dance background, she's already being approached and will be approached in the next year or two because of the school she attends and her talent to work, like literally go to Japan and dance for Disney and possibly go on tour with Backstreet Boys or whatever, whoever's touring at that time. Like this is the type of stuff she'll be approached to do. So I'm trying to encourage her to take those opportunities as a life experience and you go to school while you're away, do online, do whatever you want to do, or go to school when you get back. But at the end of the day, like, school will always be there. Life won't, and some of those experiences won't. So we're constantly pushing her to just, take heed and enjoy and seize the day, kind of. And today's the day. And if they came to you with this experience and it jives and it's something that feels good, let's do it.
I like that. I can just see you, going back to college at a frat party, you doing a cake stand.
Yeah, I was doing that anyway. I didn't have to be in college.
and your daughter, not One Direction, because there's only One Direction. That was trending on Twitter a few days ago, I was told, and how they were the only boy band ever, whatever. So she could do For the Next Direction.
Yes. for the next Bieber or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Laci, thanks for hanging out with me today, and tell us again the best place to connect with you. Where do you like connecting with people?
Well, thank you so much. This was really fun, even more fun than the first time. So thank you. I appreciate having me back, even though it's really the first time to your audience. I am on Twitter at Laci, Laci Vegas. I'm on Instagram at Laci Vegas. And those are probably the two places you can connect with me. Unless you want to get a little more deep, you can hit me on Facebook and find me there, Laci Urcioli or Urcioli. You say it like Ellery Wells.
There you go. Now I feel bad, like I'd said.
No,
it
you
wrong.
said it right. My mother-in-law would be kissing you right now. Hello. Oh, he's Italian. He must have said it correct. And I'm like, yeah, no, you're not Italian, are you?
No, I do like some lasagna.
Oh, that's cool. No, thank you so much. This was super fun. I appreciate it.
Man, that was a fun interview. I say that a lot, but I really do enjoy having these conversations with people, just having a casual chat and being able to share that with you as the listener, whether you are in your car right now, walking on the treadmill, whatever you're doing. I enjoy sharing these. This wasn't necessarily one of those episodes where there's a whole lot of life lessons where you can take a list of actions that you can go and take. And I'm okay with that. Not everything has to have a lesson to it. But here's one thing that I will really hope that you will take away from this episode. And that is, if you put yourself out there and you're open to making new connections and, having new experiences and being open to new possibilities, you can change your reality. People always say you gotta play the cards that you're dealt, but nobody tells you that you can change those cards. And that's kind of what Laci did. It's a fitting analogy since you worked in Las Vegas, there's a lot of casinos and cards, but you can change the cards that you are dealt. Wherever you find yourself in life, if you're at a good place, you can go to a great place. If you're in a not so great place, you can go to a better place. So I just want to encourage you to be open to experiencing new things in life. And also want to encourage you to stay tuned to the podcast here. In the next few weeks, hopefully, maybe in the next few months, I'm putting together an incredible series about how you can take your offline or take your online experiences, your interactions, and create something live and in person and offline in your community. If you've been listening to the show for a few weeks, I just wrapped up my very first online entrepreneurs meetup, which was actually local in person here in the Round Rock, Texas area. And it went absolutely fantastically. And I want to show you exactly how you can do those exact same things in creating live in-person interactions with some of the people that you have met online. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening and being part of the community. And, just by you listening to this, you're putting a smile on my face. I can't wait to talk to you next week. I'm your host, Ellery Wells. We'll see you then.